We got Locke Live representing Team But We're Buddies versus So representing Team Boing Boing Boingers.
I love that name.
It's only the second week, and it's still kind of early on in the second week, so division standings are not really indicative of what the rest is going to be, but presently, Boing Boing Boingers have a lead in their division over But We're Buddies. But that could change. We still got like 5 weeks after this. So we got Invrosia for week 2, which is, for those of you possibly unfamiliar, it's an inverted world state, but we start with a sword, similar to the Ambrosia mode that we know from the ladder. Bosses are going to have a non-dungeon item. The key difference here, aside from it being inverted versus open mode, is that we will also have Big Key Shuffle to hopefully alleviate some of those chances of like early low percent boss situations. And that's that. Welcome in. Good luck to our runners.
Good luck to our runners. Thank you, DT. That was a phenomenal start. I didn't even realize that this was sword start. So like farming the... Sorry, I'm wondering what happened on Tso's side. So farming the first enemy at the beginning to check the tree pole to see if you get bombs is a lot easier. I remember in just normal inverted, you'd throw like 4 bushes right outside your starting point at the ropa there and see what you can get.
And it was just awful.
It was not great.
So it doesn't look like we're getting anything between prize packs or tree poles, or I guess statue poles, whatever that thing is. But Locke's just gonna go buy bombs. There is a shop over here. I thought for the longest time that this was actually a fortune teller because it's in the Dark World equivalent as the Light World fortune teller here, but no, this is a shop. And he's got enough money to do that, so...
Yeah, and the shop is also unique to this mode because it sells a blue potion.
That's right, I forgot about that. That was a modification, I think, just also for, like, early ice, for instance. Like,
yeah, that was, like, the only reason why I remember it being a shop, but I never even thought about actually buying bombs there this early. Like, that's a smart move, especially when you have free money from the tree poles.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to get the money either between that or Link's house, I guess, so it's still situational, but good heads up, I actually wouldn't have thought of that.
We got our first big key for Locke, gonna be Skullwoods. That's really convenient, since we'll probably be heading there next. We got our first glove as well, and a shield, and a 10 arrow, and a bug net. Alright. Sweet.
Good enough.
And our second glove is at Stumpy.
And, wow, okay.
Okay.
So, inverted a mode where you can actually get through without the Titan's mitts, and here we are already having both gloves. I think, yeah, Locke going for more 20s off of this tree pole. Not bad at all. Good call.
Yeah, not only do you want money, but also, you know, if you want to go over into archery game or it's straight in a digging game, which costs 80 rupees. In inverted, you tend to see a lot of players do the early archery game because you want to have money for not only this mini game. There's a chess game in Village of Outcasts that costs 30, and then of course getting into Palace of Darkness is 110.
Yeah, I mean, if you play the game twice and hit all 5 targets both times, you should have enough money for the early game to not really have any issue.
I know you and I and JP, because JP still has his match this weekend, but we talked a lot about opening routes for this mode. And, you know, do you just rush Skull Woods and farm bombs there? Because there's really easy bomb farm there. Just go to the drop down where the bushes are, and there's 2 pots with bombs in them that you could just grab those, death warp, rinse, repeat. That way, I know I've personally, and more than enough inverted seeds have somehow just completely forgot that Hype Cave existed just because of my early routing. Got a big key on Bumper Ledge. You know, Hype Cave, as we saw here, was pretty stacked. So it's tough coming up with a good way to route. Locke gonna have a huge benefit here. Just already has the mitts, so he can just continue right up into Village of Outcasts. So gonna do this in one single loop, and well, we got
pendants in the corner. It looked like green over at Ice Palace. And then Skulls, was it Skull? Was it?
I think it was Thieves Mire. I think.
Yeah,
Skull is
it
a
might have been
crystal. Yeah, I see it up at the top
Crystal,
left.
and then Swamp was the other 5-6. So
It was
collectively, we got all of that.
it
That
was
was a pretty quick
two-phased.
map check.
Oop.
Yeah, early inverted routing is. I think the more that I'm thinking about it, the less I like just starting in the Dark Sanctuary and going right for Skull for bombs. Because, like, yeah, you can get 2 from that circle of pots that you drop down, but then you gotta die every time, and every death actually takes a good amount of time if you actually want to have a substantial number of bombs.
Yeah,
It's just
that's fair.
There can be a
It's
lot of back and forth in early routing here. It's just weird to me. It's
that's
never
why I
an
really
easy call.
I like the attempt to farm for bombs from the tree pole south. See if you can get lucky there. Oh, we got our boots here right away in Skullwoods.
That's neat.
Yeah, at the same
Shouldn't be much
time,
of a
like
difference in time between Locke getting those as well.
you could do the same route and invert it over and over and over again, and like half the times it's gonna work, maybe. I guess there really is no perfect answer. It really just depends. I mean, it's no different than open mode. It's like, do I go Uncle route or do I just rush Kakariko?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
And I think. Go ahead. What?
I want to know how anyone could say that this song is bad or annoying. This song is dope. I don't believe
It is
Locke.
a good song.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Shoot, what was I gonna say? Inverted's opening is just so limited. Like, in terms of the Sphere 1 locations compared to, like, a traditional mode, you have very few. So I think more often than not, you're like, it doesn't really matter which way you're gonna go. Whoever you're against is, like, you're gonna crisscross and go back and forth and hit all the same checks anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I know in the last main tournament they had a inverted key sanity mode, I believe. There's our light world axis. They had a starting flute, which kind of mitigated the whole, run around to do all these one-offs. Like when you have a seed where it's like, okay, I found the flippers in Village of Outcasts. Do I swim over to Pod? Like that's just or swim over and check pyramid. Like those checks sound so awful. But if you have the flute, you can kind of speed things up a little bit. But then the flute also opens up other bad options, and that is a really unfortunate death.
I have died like that before in a tournament race. It's not fun.
It is not. I was locking to skip Skullwoods for you might take the frog with him. I don't know. There is a way if you grab the door on Thieves Town from the left side where you kind of half hold on to it and pull, you'll get a little caught on like the hedge right there, so you won't go as far back. Now, that doesn't necessarily stop the ghost from climbing all the way back up and hitting you anyway, but you're a little less likely to get blasted by them. But
yeah, it's also like a tiny little speed up thing because, as you said, like you go back like a full tile less than you would if you open it like from the middle, and that's an okay amount of distance. Yeah, it looks like Locke is skipping out on Skullwoods for now and just going straight to Light World. So no boots for a bit, I guess. That's okay.
You might stumble upon, Fire Rod and then just route it in later, but yeah. I mean, welcome to like if there's any mode where finding getting to the Light World not having the boots is awful, it's this mode because there's just so much going on once you get into the Light World.
I will say though, having good Light World access this early on in Inverted compared to like 20 or 25 minutes actually feels pretty okay. Because like if you get here like anywhere past 20 minutes, it just feels like, why am I doing this so late when it's normally in the first 5 minutes anyway? And it honestly, Inverted is, at least for me, Inverted is kind of a much stronger mental game, just because of little things like that. Like you're doing things much later than you normally would, so it kind of trips you up a bit. So having this early is actually not so bad. Just knock out as much as you can and get through it. So taking, unfortunately, another death just a little bit before that 4th Thieves Town chest, but it has the fairy, so that's right. This is fine then.
I think I remember you talking about it during your interview during your race, how like, Kakariko is like something you usually hit at the first, 4 or 5 minutes, if not earlier, in a normal seed. So you have to remind yourself, like, this is a different mode, so even though I'm hitting Kakariko at like 10, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, my opponent probably is too, and it's probably fine.
Right.
But
yeah, that is true.
Especially when you have like a Mitz into Village of Outcast, the hard part is figuring out which direction to go first.
Yeah, right? Because this is like your only real light world access for now, so I don't know, you're going to wind up either taking a long time to do everything, or you're just going to skip something and take a slightly less long time to get a reasonable amount of stuff.
It's definitely one of those modes where, like, you'll skip like the mushroom spot in Lost Woods, and it ends up having your hammer, and you just did like a full southern loop through Hyrule, like maybe ending in Hyrule Castle, or maybe ending in like a cleared eastern pod if you have the resources. And you're like, come on, man.
And that's like effectively putting that spot as like the last place you're gonna go, just by sheer dumb luck.
Like I don't know. Is there a good way to route Light World in this mode, starting from Kakariko? I don't know if there is. Now, if you had Hammer for Light World access, then, you know, I've seen you start at Link's house and you hop right into the whirlpool and just start at Witch's Hut and do a complete counterclockwise loop from there. But then it's like, man, you're missing out on like Mini Moldern Cave and the dam.
Yeah, like I think my seed the other night, like it was Aga required, so like I started right at the castle in that case and went all the way through Escape, and then basically started my Light World loop from leaving the Sanctuary, and it kind of worked out. It still felt awful because like you're doing literally all of the Light World, and it was bootless too, so like it took forever.
That sucks. Well, we're about to see what is in the Skullwood's big chest. Just another small key. And Locke's about to grab a shot. That's kind of the downside about Wild Big Keys, is that you have to keep track of your dungeon items, because you don't want to, like, backtrack all the way to Skullwoods just to find the map or compass or the third small key.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing of this. Like, let's take Skullwoods, for example. Like, in a normal mode, you've got 2 non-dungeon items, right? But in Invrosia, you have one of those items guaranteed on the boss, but you also have the Big Key Shuffle, so you're still effectively capable of finding 2 items up front with a third on the boss then, and item counting becomes a little bit more critical, even just with Big Key Shuffle.
I know I've, in the past, for certain modes, have been like, man, I really kind of wish the tracker that I use had a way to mark maps and compasses as well, just so I can keep track of them without having to like pause the game every time.
Oh, you know another part of Light World routing and Inverted that just makes exploring the world kind of rough? Maybe a little bit less so because Locke has the book. But yeah, there's additional value in the desert area because you can do Agnes Cave and Checkerboard. But then you're still walking all the way to a dead end for those 2 items to have to walk all the way back east for, like, Mini Moldern Cave or something. It's just a weird feeling to go over there.
It's, and especially because in this mode, you know, the only thing stopping us, we have 2 ways to get to the Mire area. Either we find the flute or we find the mirror. And so I guess that makes skipping that area a little better, because there is still a chance you could find one of those 2 items to get you over there later. But like, if you have the mirror when you're going over to the desert area, then you can feel like you can clear more stuff a little efficiently, and it's nicer.
Oh, for sure.
I had missed it on Locke's side, but I saw Tso pick up the flippers, so Locke definitely has them. So that opens up. We got Zora. We can do a lot over here. It might be a while before either of these runners head into a dungeon again. You know, we got so much Light World to do, and you know, we can sequence break up the mountain now too, and with hookshot and mitts, that's a lot. That's a lot we can do.
It is. It's interesting to note like when a runner's going to actually hit a dungeon in a mode that has Big Key Shuffle, because we really can't. Like, you try to avoid going into dungeons if you can't complete them. And yeah, we're finding a couple of big keys here right now, not for dungeons we can go in and beat, but like, I don't know, I think you try to minimize the double dips wherever possible, even if there might be some good items up front.
for sure. I mean, you don't really want to go to pod anytime soon.
No.
Especially, well, I mean, pod isn't. I wouldn't even consider pod because we have A, no bow, B, no lamp, and C, of course, no hammer, big key.
All good reasons.
That's not stopping us from getting pretty much like 90% of the items out of there, but it's always that toss up of like, how much do I want to stay in logic? A mirror would really open up some more of our possibilities, because then you could potentially do like a pod Eastern double, not simultaneous dip, but like you can clear that area more efficiently. But I wonder what we'll see next. I mean, it looks like Locke will probably go ahead and do Zora stuff, but like, will we see the mountain sequence break, or do we go to like Hyrule Castle or something?
Castle's not a bad play in my book. It's actually got a pretty good number of items in there.
Locke is gonna be so mad when he finds those boots eventually. I mean, I feel like that was probably the only item we actually got out of Skullwoods. I don't 100% recall, but
I don't recall a second one. But obviously because of the mode, third will be on Moth.
Yeah. I think the other one might have been Firelocked, but I'm not sure.
It was nothing important, if we did see it at least.
Another big key. Well, there's the problem.
Well, all right. We did talk about that.
Sweet. That's 3 big keys in this Hylia area. 2 in Mini Moldern Cave, 1 at Hobo. We are gonna need some of those. We're gonna definitely need that one. Unlike last week, this is not an all dungeon seed, as far as we know. I mean, we do have the book. We could see what's on the pedestal. Okay. Just a heart piece. Yeah, and thankfully no fire source, so Locke's not gonna get tripped up into going into Ice Palace early for a wild dip. Nice mirror shield. So yeah, we have, once we're done here, we do have, we still have that desert area to check out. I don't think either runner has gone north route at all, so we have, I mean, especially now with the boots, we have King's Tomb, we have Graveyard Ledge, we have Back of Escape. There's an Ice Rod at Zora's Ledge. That's a nice find.
Yeah, that whole graveyard area is actually pretty nice right now, considering the boots and mitts.
That's kind of why I don't mind the whole start at Witch's Hut and go counterclockwise, because routing Back of Escape is super awkward. I feel like a lot of times you just go ahead and drop down and then go the normal way through Escape to get the Sanctuary chest, as opposed to double dipping.
I think so.
Though I guess what you could do is just end your route at the Back of Escape. Do King's Tomb, do Graveyard Ledge, drop down, grab that, save quid.
Right. So I wonder where Locke's heading to now, because he's walking out of the Zora area, something you don't see too often.
Yeah. Where are you going, Locke? Either he's gonna head up to Eastern area, or he's gonna hit up the Whirlpool.
And I do want to comment too. It may not seem like all that much right now, but just the amount of time that Tso has made up in this Light World Overworld, just from having boots, has actually been really noticeable to me.
I mean,
even
look at this.
It's only been a couple of minutes.
I mean, water walking, water dashing, that swimming in this game is terrible, so that's a good chunk of time right there.
Oh, that was actually really good use of the whirlpools.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that, because I didn't really see him swimming over to go to Eastern area. Yeah, you kind of have to, with this mode, you kind of do have to get a little creative with your routing, because we don't always have the same, luxuries of, starting that Sanctuary or whatnot.
It was a green thing, so nothing of consequence, probably just some money. Well, speaking of the Eastern area, though, we're actually going to see that on Tso's side. A little bit of a change from what Locke was doing. I actually like this. I like seeing new info as a commentator.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
unfortunately,
for the
so
moment,
it's gonna...
we've seen Ice Rod.
Yeah. That one.
I mean, for the moment, probably not really any consequence. But hey, you know, another big key. There's so many big keys for Swamp. That's it for the useless big keys, though. Every other big key we're going to see is going to be a necessary one.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the Thieves one, but...
Right, because it's dependent. One thing worth noting is that one of the unique attributes about this mode is that, you know, it is wild big keys except for Ganon's Tower. The Ganon's Tower big key will always be in Ganon's Tower. Which, I think the idea of it was to avoid players having to go mode GT big key in... There's nothing worse than, like, oh, I have to go full clear GT hoping to find the big key. Oh no, it was in a pendant dungeon instead. Like, that just sucks. Nobody likes that. So, or maybe people do. I don't know. Do you like the idea of full clearing GT, looking for that last thing you need to beat it, and not finding it?
I think, to answer that a little bit differently, I would rather just play a non-key shuffled inverted than this specific key layout. That's just my take.
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like Big Key Shuffle kind of offers its own goods and bads. I know the idea of it was to kind of limit the early boss fights, like the early Dark World boss fights, like an early Blind Fight or an early... it doesn't really matter about early Moth, because that's not locked by a big key, but...
Yeah, I mean, it is fair that it can make the early game more difficult if bosses are more easily accessible. But once you get past that hurdle, the rest of it's honestly really not that bad. But that first part can be unnecessarily frustrating.
And I know you're talking about it as well. I think during the interview, like how silly, or no, I think this we were just chit-chatting last night, how easy it is to be like, oh man, I have the items, I need to go beat this dungeon, and then you get there and you're like, oh wait, I don't have the big key.
Right. Right. It's just an extra step that can be a little bit difficult to remember at times. Like, if you're playing full key sanity, it's kind of hard to forget that you're going to need certain things. But if it's just big key shuffle, you're not... I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but you're not always paying attention to, hey, I still need the desert big key or something.
And what's worse is, like, it's big key shuffle, but the big keys could still be in their vanilla dungeons by chance, which can be kind of annoying as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much we've seen of that. Then again, I haven't really watched too many races.
Oh, well, here's one in its vanilla dungeon.
Well,
what on earth?
Listen here, you. Where are we heading now, Locke? Take another whirlpool. This might be either up to castle or down to desert. Looks like down to desert. So yeah, I feel like So at this point is probably caught up completely and might have even overpassed. I mean, they've done different things at this point, but like those boots are starting to really hurt Locke. Now, of course, it's very early. There's still a lot of BS that can happen in this seed, so not gonna... Can't really make any kind of judgments about this seed yet, but other than the tunes are great. Thank you, Locke, for the tunes. Another big key in the dark. We got a Tower of Hera.
Inaccessible for the moment. Still need a little bit before we can get there, but cool. Another big key. It's rare to have this many big keys this early, and I tell you, as a runner, it feels incredible.
Oh, it's
so good. The longer
good.
it goes when you don't have the keys, like it feels awful. But this is nice.
I feel like a lot of the times I would rather have more big keys than items, I guess, if that makes sense. Because, you know, big keys will lock portions of dungeons, but sometimes items will lock an entire dungeon out. Oh, there's a fire room.
Well, look at that. So's advantage of boots might actually be coming to an end somewhat soon. Because it's pretty unlikely Locke's going to be able to clear desert right now unless the big key happens to be in here. So this could be a a pretty short trip, I would think.
Now, for Locke's sake, hopefully... Oh, there's the Ether Medallion on the ledge. Hopefully there's nothing super important sitting on that Desert Torch. Because it would be kind of frustrating to have to come back through Desert using the book to get that item after... Assuming he's going to go to Skull Woods next, because he hasn't been there yet.
I assume he will, and it's still within logic, and it's relatively quick. But if nothing else, he'll get knowledge of what's on the torch here. And that's better than not knowing at all. So
Now, loadout-wise, he's not... You know, he could have better items to deal with the moth fight. I think he does have a green potion that he got from Waterfall Fairy, I believe. So, can just go wild with the fire rod shots.
So, walking up a little bit further in the Lumberjack Caves, just confirming it is a single green rupee.
Oh.
No more, no less. We'll get our first look at Bonk Rocks in a moment, as well as King's Tomb. We've seen Back to Escape, we've seen Graveyard Ledge from Locke, and now we've seen a mirror from Locke.
Yeah, Graveyard Ledge
this could actually delay his trip out of here.
Yeah, well, he might now head into the Mire area and check out Mire Shed. You know, I can't imagine if he has the... Well, he doesn't have a fire rod now, so I mean, he could make the Mire dip and just... But it's Invrosia, so you know one of the items is going to be on the boss.
Right, you're only going to get 2 items out of that trip right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a long dungeon to walk through.
Well, fortunately for
Just
Locke,
a little awkward, I think.
not missing out on anything at Graveyard Ledge or Bonk Rocks. Oh, but yeah, let's see. I mean, I guess I would have definitely see the Mire Shed check. That's an easy play to make, but...
Well, maybe it's Bombos and we just don't worry about it. It's Quake.
Right, he does have that medallion. He could go in there. Man, I'd be feeling great. Like, once he heads to Skullwoods, like having Mirror, having Boots, Hookshot, Mitts. I mean, obviously now we just really need to find like Hammer.
He's going in.
It's going in.
It's interesting.
It is a pendant. He can get both items in the front. He can't get the third item, but, you know...
Yeah. I think a situation like this, you're hoping, let me go in knowing it's a pendant, get a couple of items, and not need to ever worry about coming back. Like, if it's a crystal, I think you consider it a little bit more, because it would be almost guaranteed double dip.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's hoping that he never has to come back here ever again. And especially knowing the pedestal's dead. Like... Probably got a good chance they don't have to come back here.
So then you just hope that that whatever item's on Vitreous is of no importance, because he will probably never get that item.
Probably not. Alright. I feel like this is going to be the Ice Rod Cave check. Or unless he already... Oh, he already did it because he did the Water Walk. So this will be the Zora check for Tso.
So Ice Rod, and then we'll see if Tso sticks around in the Light World and heads over to the desert area as well. You kind of hope so, because the Fire Rod's over there. And that's a really nice one to have early on, because we don't have logical access to, like, the mountain yet. We could go into Pod, but you're going to want to find that Fire Rod sooner than later so that you can at least go get a crystal under your belt.
For sure. I'm still waiting to see the Death Mountain sequence break. It's got to be coming up soon, right? Right? Maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I don't typically worry about logic when it comes to, like, lamp sequence breaks. So, I mean, like, personally, I'd be up the mountain very soon.
Yeah, because especially, it's one of those where, like, what if you go up there and you find the lamp? Or you find the flute, and then all of a sudden you kind of have some extra knowledge, which is really nice. The other thing to point out is, you were saying earlier that we are at this point where every big key we have left, aside from Thieves' Town, is a required one. And we did see a big key on Bumper Ledge, so we might need to find that cape to go with this mirror to go get that.
Yeah, Bumper Ledge is a very, very weird one. Like, you saw the stairs going up to Hammer in Mucker.
Wow.
Well then.
The classic. Boy, I've seen that enough times.
What I was saying doesn't even matter now. That Hammer's a really great find. Yeah, though, like you see the stairs going up to Graveyard Ledge and going up to Bombo's Tablet. Those are just some of the overworld changes for inverted. I think Bumper Ledge is probably one of the most interesting overworld changes for this mode.
Yeah, because did they moved Bumper Ledge to the Light World now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is how we get up the mountain.
Right. Yeah, so Bumper Ledge now requires the mirror, where it doesn't in normal modes.
Now, I will say, I hate everything that they've done with Death Mountain in this mode. There's no good attributes about Death Mountain in this mode. Like, except for maybe the idea of being able to get into TR with the mirror. Like, that's interesting to a degree, but everything else about Death Mountain is terrible. And Locke is trying everything to avoid cutscene and gets the... Oh, holy cow. What did we get? We got Fire Rod, Mirror, Bow, and Hammer over in this Mire Desert area. Holy moly.
Yeah. You're feeling excellent if you're Locke right now.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it.
That's a beatable pod right now. That's a beatable skull. That's a beatable Ice Palace. Or Swamp Palace and Ice Palace.
Beatable ice as well.
I mean, right now, Locke is he going up the mountain?
Actually going up the mountain instead of Skull? This surprises me.
Same. Okay, he's just checking there.
Checking Bumper Ledge. Okay. You know what? Fair.
I mean, I would have just gone ahead and... If you're gonna check Bumper Ledge, you might as well just go up to Death Mountain, so you might as well put off that check until you're going up Death Mountain. I mean, we could find a flute and skip that, but this is a mode where flute kind of doesn't matter. I think the only time it can be required is if, like, Mirror is in the Mire area or something. I think that's it.
I'm not going to think too hard about it. I don't care.
That's fair. Well, you got me there.
Yeah, like, you were talking about the Turtle Rock routing with the Mirror, and that is one of the more interesting things to keep in mind with, I guess, all of the Death Mountain routing is, like, your accessibility to get to Turtle Rock or to East Death Mountain is just a little bit different in this mode. This is like the second time I think I mentioned something from my race the other night, and I don't want to like keep talking about my stuff, but like my race the other night, I got into the front of Turtle Rock like the normal way through the medallion entrance. The first 3 items were just items. I didn't get a single small key, which surprised the hell out of me. But that piece of information was valuable because it told me I didn't have the mirror at the time. It told me mirror is absolutely required to see the rest of this dungeon. So it's things like that you gotta be sharp about and try to remember.
I remember that. I was watching that. I was like, what is going on in this TR? I don't know if I've ever seen a TR like that in Inverted. But then again, I kind of stay away from this mode. So
I feel like usually there's still at least one in that front section though. But yeah, that was odd.
Alright, nothing over in Paradox Cave aside from a Cane of Verna.
Oh, look at this.
Cheeky hover. Well done.
No hesitation either. Like, there was no stopping and lining up. Like, he just went.
I have no idea who can hover these days, so I don't make assumptions anymore. So anytime I see it, I'm like, ooh, cheeky.
I just assume everyone can. It's become such a common thing.
Yeah, that's true. Right, Locke on the verge of getting on the board, waiting for that Wallmaster to drop so he doesn't get 1.0.
Yeah.
Which is
and the way he's routing Skull, his boots are going to be like at the tail end of the dungeon for him. Lamp and Spiral Cave. So Flute's somewhere.
Yeah, Flute is what? Probably in Pod
Maybe
Eastern?
on Mall?
Could be on Mall. See, Locke, what's your problem here is that you let Moth get a little ahead of you. You want to try and hit him as many times as possible before he has the chance to spawn all these damn spikes at you. But takes him down.
There you go. Kept some distance, played a little bit more patiently. $50.
Yeah, there was like 2 moments where I thought he was going to get clipped, but somehow avoided it. We on the board. And yeah, here's another interesting thing, like, from the inverted seeds I've played, like, I've had so many that force you into an early Dark World or Death Mountain, looking for progression, like having to go across the Lionel Bridge with 4 hearts and green mail. So it's seems kind of rare that we're here 30 minutes later, and obviously not in Logic.
Yeah, as far as item loadouts and accessibility, this has actually been pretty friendly as far as inverted goes. Probably about your best case scenario, really.
Yeah, no forced early pod dips or pyramid checks or anything like that.
No moon prolonged cold stare or anything like that.
Locke about to get the funny news. So that is the third item then, because I think, yeah, both items are in the back. It was all money, I'm pretty sure. Alright, where are we going? Going next? Is this... So right now, Locke has just a huge lead just because of that Desert Mire play. I can't imagine So not heading there soonish. And really, I feel like from the Hyrule Castle play, the only thing So picked up was the Harabig in Dark Cross, I think it was. That was it.
I think so. Which, I mean, Hookshot at this point, Harapod has become incredibly free. So not really all that good of a big key to find.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting a dual catfish play, though.
And then I would assume these runners might both be heading Pyramid Pod.
Yeah, in terms of location, I think that makes the most sense. Although, personally, I think in this case I would go Swamp first. Just on the chance of, like, finding the Eastern Big Key. That way you can just single dip that entire Eastern region.
Yeah, but I do like that.
I guess it's a bit further away from where we are right now, too. There's options, is the point I'm trying to make.
We got quite a few options. And the other thing is, you could do Swamp into Pyramid Fairy right away. For Locke, at least.
Yeah? Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Though I think maybe in Locke's mind, he's like, man, if I do Swamp into Pyramid Fairy, well, I don't want to do Swamp because left side Swamp sucks. And if I do Pyramid Fairy, then I'm probably going to do the Castle, and Castle sucks. At least that's what I'd be thinking about, so...
That's fair. So you're trying to minimize things that you don't necessarily need in favor of crystal dungeons that you can presently beat, which, go for it.
There's nothing of value on the pyramid. But yeah, I do like your point about, go do Swamp. It's a clearable crystal dungeon, and maybe you find the Eastern Big while you're over there, so you can do this whole series of checks together. But then you might miss out on something good in the Swamp Big chest.
You could.
You never know.
So I'm wondering what So is hoping to find over... Obviously, I mean, So is hoping to find, like, hammer and bow, but realistically, from what we know both sides, what can we find in here? Let's think, what do we even need at this point, besides Cane of Samaria? And a couple of big keys. Best case would be Desert Big somewhere in Pod for Tso.
Yeah,
send him over to the Desert Mire area to get basically everything that he's missing from what Locke has.
Desert Big would be the most beneficial for sure. And for now, it's not Bowlock, so it's good. We know that the flute's going to be showing up sometime soon, because that's our logical Death Mountain access. But, I mean, with all the items we found, it could be in here, it could be in Ice, it could be in Swamp.
Yeah, I guess there's still quite a number of options for it.
And I don't remember, this mode uses the advanced item placement, so Fire Rod locks can lock something in the back, right?
I would fully assume so. I don't think any of League uses the basic item placement. I could be wrong though. I play assuming it's all the advanced logic anyway.
Oh man, so close. That's I hear that's one of the hardest hovers to get. skip the bow side. Close again. I'm guessing third time or bust. Just hovers back like, nah.
Like no big deal at all. That's cool. That's impressive.
Nah, probably wasn't the right lineup. Nice.
There it is. So just 2 small keys on the right side.
High five.
I think they were in the doorway at the same time.
Yeah, despite Tso getting the early boots, like Locke making the right plays over into the Desert Mario area, finding Fire Rod, finding the mirror, which led to Hammer, and Bo gets to clear this pod in 1 trip, which is always a nice thing. Definitely got to give Locke the advantage right now, for sure. Just with all those items. But, I mean, all it really takes is really, like, one of those nasty big keys to be somewhere stupid. Like, you know, what if Tso finds Desert Big and Samaria? I mean, I don't know. I know players will tend to avoid, like, doing a pendant vidi at all costs, so it's hard to say.
I mean, if you end up getting Samaria, like, before your first trip into Mire in this case, I think you go for it. Because you know it's another item, you've already found such great value there that you don't want to risk missing something else.
The one thing that does kind of... Well, actually, no. Never mind. I was going to say, I think... Because you still need the hammer to get into TR from the mirror portals, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Because after you enter Lightward Portal on top of TR, yeah, you're like completely hammer fenced in.
You could... Never mind. No. Hammer can absolutely be in TR because... I mean, not in this seed, but... Because you can just hook shot, go through Paradox Cave, and then drop down in Mirror.
Right. That's the other option.
I feel like... I mean, if you find Samaria... Well, he doesn't have Fire Rod either. Yeah. I mean, after this... We might see So. I would assume So would head to either the desert area or head to the eastern area, but... Options are kind of running low. Yeah, Locke having a little bit of trouble with that hammer jump. I'm still bad at the hammer jump. I still go for the pause buffer setup, and I know it's super slow.
I'm wondering what Tso is doing now. I think he was gonna dash over to the portal, but this...
No,
I wonder if this is an Ice Palace play.
This might be ice with that Bombos medallion. Well, that is, as far as we know, unfortunate. There might... I mean, we're still looking for stuff, so...
We are, and putting myself in Tso's position here... What crystal dungeons can you go and beat right now? Or what dungeons at all can you go and beat right now? I don't think any, just quickly glancing at it. So, like,
no.
That kind of de-incentivizes the Desert Mire area entirely right now. On one hand, so you just kind of got to pick a point and go for it. Like, he doesn't know that Mirror's over there, which would grant him access to Mire from Desert.
So, like, Desert to him is, like, the 2 item checks and... whatever you can get in the front of Desert.
Right. Which it doesn't sound so great on paper, does it?
To me, it would still beat the hell out of a hammer, or of a hammerless ice dive. Hammerless pendant ice dive with Bombos, but I also... The thing is, we found Bombos... Did we find that up on the mountain?
I think so.
So it's not even in Logic either.
It wasn't in Logic, that's true.
I mean, it's definitely a tough thing to decide, like, when and if to stay in Logic or sequence break more stuff. But I think Ice is also just one of those, like, yeah, what if Fire Rod's in here, you know? That's why I don't like Hammer for Light World, Dark World seeds. They're the worst. Knocking out all these hovers, though. See, I can never, like... The transition into hovering is so sick, because I always have to, like, move my controller in a certain way to even attempt to do it, and then, you know, it's still not very successful at it. But I also feel like my controller needs some repairs. That's my John.
I don't know what to say to that. What's in the freeze art chest?
Desert Pig, maybe? Cape? Small key?
Small key. So we have yet to see an item out of this dungeon.
We got what, map in the first chest?
Map in the first chest, which is not the map chest, oddly enough.
Ooh,
Another
okay.
sword is nice. I mean, there's the potential for that to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, we have no idea where our other two are. There are still two more. They could be in GT. I feel like, you know, that is good because, you know, sword go mode kind of stinks. But especially in this mode where you still have to find the GT big key, like, there's still a good chance you're going to stumble upon the sword while you're looking for the big key.
Speaking of big keys, Locke just found that cape, which is going to grant access to the big key on top of Bumper Ledge.
Yeah. Now, if that one is desert or eastern, that would be really good for... That would even further solidify Locke's lead here. I wonder...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be either eastern, desert, or thieves big key. So pretty good odds it'll, at the very least, get Locke another crystal.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're kind of running out of spots for this stinking... Because obviously... But that cape is not in logic. Because we don't have the lamp. So...
Well...
Maybe Flute's got...
do, but... I don't know. But I try to figure out logic. It doesn't matter.
So I'm guessing Flute's probably just going to be in, like, Swamp Palace or something. But, I mean, we also still have, like, hammer pegs, I think. I don't know. We got a lot of random stuff. The Locke's going to go straight for that big key.
I'm trying to remember. Did we see Eastern? Did Locke go in?
No. No, we didn't see it at all.
So, I mean, Flute could be in there as well.
Yeah. Let's see, where's So heading off to? This might be Smith Chain. See, this would work. Like, this would be Smith Chain into the desert, that desert area check. So it's gonna end up balancing out. Because wasn't this like originally what sent Locke into? No, I don't think Locke even did purple chest. What am I talking about?
I don't think he did. No. So where's this to? That is for Eastern. Okay.
There's the Eastern. So we are Samaria and Desert Big from Go Mode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question too then is where does Locke find another sword? Because at this point, he's got zero reason to go into Ice Palace.
I mean, that's a good question.
I mean, pretty, like you said, pretty good odds that you wind up finding one anyway, especially with the GT clear for the big key. There's a lot of ground left to cover.
Yeah, it looks like Locke is immediately going Eastern. Still going to continue to put off that Swamp Palace for now, which is fine by me. Swamp stinks, so. By the way, chat, figured I'd take this moment to remind everyone to follow our runners. Yay! They're putting on a great show. This is, of course, a match on the Open League between of the Boing Boing Boingers. I love that name. And Locke Live of But We're Buddies. Locke has been doing League for, I think this is his 4th season now, yeah. I think he joined League the same season that I joined. I think when we were in the same division. Both, actually, the thing is, both of these runners have, like, jumped between, you know, they were, I don't remember if So was around before Open and Invitational League, like, split off, but, I know both these runners have been in both the Open and Invitational League, so they are, of course, fighting to get back into the Invitational League. But it's still very early, it's only week number 2. I love League. League is so fun. I think it's my favorite tournament. It's just so interesting and so unique from all the other tournaments I've played or watched. Alright, here is that Fire Rod for Tso. I can't imagine finding this and then, like, I don't know, I can't imagine bailing with this, right? You just go into desert.
I think you definitely go into desert. I mean, it opens up Skullwoods, and for the moment, that is it. And that's, to me, that wouldn't be enough value to just leave on the area entirely.
Yeah, and Tso knows that it does open up the two last items are in Skullwood, so the real question is going to be whether Tso goes into Mire.
Right.
Like, that was a fairly risky... What? I don't know. I don't even know if it was really a risky play on Locke's side. I feel like...
I think it's fair to say that it's probably not something most people would do.
Yeah.
Given how early in the seed it was, I don't think it's a bad thing to make more risky plays like that. Like, we're, what, about a half hour later now? 25, 30 minutes later, I would guess. So you tend to not make as many risks. Although at the same time, well, maybe. At the same time,
I know what you're saying.
Behind, maybe you do. I don't know, Rando's weird, everyone.
Rando
don't play it unless you want to play it weird or something, too. I don't know.
Rando is impossible.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like I get what you're saying, because like I know early game, like you tend to make one or two more, you know, riskier plays, and then if it doesn't pay off, then it's like later on, it's like, well, because that risk didn't pay off, do I keep going? Do I dig deeper and take even more risks to make up for it, or do I switch gears and play it safe to make up for the earlier plays not paying off? Or, you know, you just play randomly and, you know, do whatever the heck you feel like. Make whatever decision just comes to your head first, and then go with it.
Yeah, I mean, basically the story of this whole seed right now, this race that we're watching, is that you've got two runners that went and explored different areas, and literally one area had basically everything, and the other area didn't really have anything at all. And that's just the way that the rando goes sometimes.
For sure.
Absolutely no fault of Tso in that regard. But the direction that Locke went just happened to have all of the stuff this time.
Yep. Yeah, and we see here Tso not going for the Mire dip, not even checking Mire Shed either. Gonna go ahead and go for the confirmed items. So gonna miss out on that hammer and bow. And what's interesting is, like, I know we've seen plenty of races that have kind of gone super one-sided because of the inverted nature of it, but I feel like this just really came down to, so far, it just came down to Locke just, yeah, as you said, made the right plays, regardless of the mode. So now we're finally going to see that.
Get a crystal here. I mean, yeah, you're hoping that these two items that are back here, I mean, they're relatively quick. They're right next to each other. You're hoping one of them at least is going to open up another crystal for you.
Yeah.
I think we saw that it was just rupees on both, definitely just on Moth. So there's still not going to be another dungeon available for Tso after this.
And it doesn't feel good at all to be this far into a seed and not have your first dungeon complete.
No. I do think, though, that skipping Mire was a fine play, like, for what you're considering as a runner at that point. Because you just got Mirror, you just got Fire Rod, so you do actually have a fair number of options. Like, if you wanted to, you could head back up the mountain and go into Laser Bridge and get another quick 4 items. So there are some options.
Yeah. I'm sure Tso's like, man, just give me Samaria next, and I'll go do TR.
Right, and that actually, I mean, that actually wouldn't feel awful if Samaria is, like, sitting right on Laser Bridge or something. I can think of worse things.
I've definitely had seeds where it's like you need to go into Laser Bridge and, like, backtrack up to Crystal Roller Room to find, like, the TR Big Key or something.
It's kind of funny when that happens.
Yeah, I think that was more so like just the inverted key sanity as opposed to this mode. Obviously, because of the wild big keys. And we're getting close to that hour mark here. And Locke is looking for just a couple more things. Just needs to find that desert big and needs to find that Cane of Samaria. And a sword. We did see one sword in the big chest of Ice Palace. That's it. And then the one we started with.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Okay, this is like, what are we getting in Swamp? What's this big key gonna be?
So that, remember, that was the big key that was in Saha's closet as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so next big key we're gonna find is definitely gonna be desert though.
Yep. There's not gonna be any like like we just had. Because of course the GT big key is in GT. Now let's see. The only thing that stinks for Locke in this dungeon is this Fighter Sword Argus fight. And I don't think Locke found any dungeon items yet, so hoping that they're both on left side swamp, which is not gonna happen. It never happens. Just dive her down. Let's see. Sword and swamp.
So here we go. Laser Bridge.
Laser
I think
Bridge?
trying to make a quick decision about starting Mimic Cave or going straight to Laser Bridge, but you know what? Just go for the density first.
Compass. Yeah, I mean, while this is also like such an intriguing part about this mode, it also is East Death Mountain, which is awful. East Death Mountain is just not fun to deal with.
Nothing fun on Laser Bridge even. Just a couple of small keys and the dungeon items. And the rest of the dungeon is pretty limited. I mean, we can get to the lava chest and chain chomps and Mimic Cave, I guess. Well, no, without a hammer, no, we can't even do that right now. So, not a lot of hope for what's left in Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. This is usually the strat that I do with Fighter Sword. I know some people will go like hook, pause, hammer, pause, hook, but the double Fighter Sword spin is good enough. It's pretty much no different than doing like Master Sword spins to kill the puffs. The only downside is that sometimes one of them will get away from you. There's our bow, our second bow in the big chest of TR, which does nothing.
That's a good find.
It is good, but it does. And there's our flute on Argus. Okay.
Wow. This is an interesting one in terms of logic. Because we got the lamp in Spiral Cave on Tso's side a while ago now, so we knew that the flute had to be somewhere accessible down below. And Locke finally finding it.
Alright. Locke gonna go back in for that one item, does not want to risk it. He's probably feeling pretty good about his routing so far, so... And, you know, this is a very a consistent skip that runners will do in races, and so many times I'll see runners lose a race just because they wanted to save some time skipping left side swamp or Mire cutscene, which is
I think
fair.
for Locke at this point, like you can safely think that the game's gone well enough that you can afford to be wrong in this case.
Oh, and there's our third sword. Tempered sword in the lava chest of TR. So, if Locke happens to find, you know, Samaria soon, you know, or finds his go mode, you know, that could be another situation where he might miss out on another sword.
Yeah, that's a deceptively buried sword in my opinion. Like, it's not hard to get to, but it's one that under this right circumstances, you're probably not getting it. You dip right into Laser Bridge with Samaria, like he's just gonna go right for Trinex and bail if it comes down to it.
For sure. Yeah, because after this, I would assume Locke's gonna go activate Flute. It might not even activate Flute. It might just head up the mountain.
I think I would activate Flute. It still winds up saving time overall. But yeah, I mean, he's got Tower of Hera available. He hasn't been up a mountain at all, so like he's got everything available up there right now.
Here's where Tso's heading now.
Is he gonna hover to Trinex?
No.
Why else would he be going back in?
Maybe?
I think yes.
You know, you're kind of at this point where, like, oh my god. Well, there's Canis Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be nutty. And then, you know, Trinex drops the Desert Big, full mode ham. I mean, Tso has been hitting all these hovers, so...
Yeah, remarkably consistent.
I'll never forget. There was one day I was like, ooh, about halfway. I got on the treadmill and I was watching Andy race some ladder or something, and he had like a mystery seat or a cross keys or something, and I was like, all right, Andy, he was hovering TR, and I was like, I'm not getting off this treadmill until you nail this hover. I think it took him like 15 minutes. It took him forever, but he got it, and he still won the race because of it, but boy, was I sweating.
Well, that's what you get for making an agreement.
Wow. That's
I'll be honest,
that's
nutty.
The first
time I've seen someone hover that gap. Well done.
That's the first time I think I've seen it in a tourney race. So that's nuts. That's nuts. Second try, too.
Mm-hmm.
I
okay.
Couldn't even imagine trying to do that.
So I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but what if the Desert Big is on Trinex?
That would be wild.
I don't know that would be enough to really help everything, but it doesn't matter anyway. It's a hard piece. It would have been a really, really interesting turn, though. It definitely would have, I think, helped a bit.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point now, like, I mean, I would rather be hammer go mode than, you know, a wild big key or a sword.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in the case of the Desert Big, it would have sent Tso back over there and possibly right into Meyer afterward.
Mm-hmm. That was such a nutty play. And, you know, that completely changed this race, I think. Especially with Samaria being left side swamp. I mean, of course, Locke is still in a really good spot. And so still needs to make the play into Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
I'm
not sure what we're doing here.
What is this play?
Eastern?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can use that portal. I don't know what's over here, though. Have we not seen Eastern yet from Tso's side?
No. I don't believe so.
Okay.
But there was nothing. I don't think we saw a damn thing in there on Locke's side.
No, we didn't. So what does this leave us with for Desert Big? We got back of Thievestown, we've got Tower of Hera, we've still got front of TR.
We got
some miscellaneous things, I'm sure.
Pyramid Fairy, Hammer Pegs, Purple Chest, Back of Thieves.
I said
that's
that.
A scary. You said that? Oh, sorry.
I said it. I said that.
I said it too. On one hand, you got to be feeling good if you're Locke. On the other hand, I'd be like freaking out. It's just like, oh, don't make me go into any of these damn pendant dungeons. I already been in 2. Like, I would be assuming it's like an ice palace or something. But makes perfect sense. Just go for the next crystal dungeon and hope for the best. I mean, obviously, if Desert Big is just in TR, then Locke's in a good spot, except for the sword situation.
Well, if he happens to find Desert Big first, he might not continue looking. But if he's going to clear the whole dungeon, then he'll at least come out of there with Master Sword.
Yeah, that's true. Seed has been nutty. Nutty, I say. I still can't believe we saw the Trinex hover. That's sick.
That was really cool.
We might also, before we even see TR, we might actually see the Tower of Hera play from Locke as well. While he's up here in the late
For routing, I think that's actually fine first in inverted routing.
He's got his mirror out, so this might be straight into Laser Bridge. I mean, it's probably pretty safe because you'll beat Trinex and then it'll send you back to the front anyway. Though, not grabbing the... I would have grabbed the Bonk Rock Fairies at least.
Nah, that's
free
Locke.
Safety.
He'll be fine. At least that's what he would say. We'll see if he actually will be.
I'll be fine. Alright, nothing out of Eastern, so Tso really just has that desert play. Or the Mire play next. That's pretty much it.
I like he did I've never actually quite seen that. A sword buffer after opening the chest to make sure the laser was far enough away to not hit him.
I guess that works.
Seemed to.
I usually just wing it and it works out. But hey, if you can, if you have a strat that gives you consistent results, then I'm all for it.
We have not seen Purple Chest yet, have we? I don't think Locke did that, so this will be our first look on Tso's side. This is awkward, though, because you've got to go back to the Outcast portal just to enter the Light World to take it back.
Yeah, without that hammer. Dude, late hammer sucks. Oh no, and now there's the ice, and Trinex is far away. Nice use the hook
Nice
shot.
iframes.
Yeah.
That worked.
That's one thing. There's so many races I'll be watching where like players will just sit there and die. And I'm like, you have the tools. Like, if you have to pause buffer to make sure you successfully defeat a boss, do it. I don't understand just like standing around hoping for the best. I see it way too often. Like, I've utilized pause buffers so much, and it's got me out of jail. Some nasty boss fights.
Certainly useful in like more traditional inverted modes where you're going to like blind with 3 or 4 hearts, just to help avoid the fireballs.
Or potentially during week 5 for swordless.
Yeah,
good
luck
luck
with that.
Swordless cold stare. It's gonna be great. The swordless with the bow and silvers combined, I'm all for it.
Now, what if it was retro swordless?
Don't say that. There it is.
That's it.
It's purple chest.
That's it. That's it. That is so good for Tso right now. That is remarkably good. Go beat Desert, get a crystal, hopefully enter Mire right after and get that hammer for go mode.
Holy
But
cow.
we still need the Eastern Big. I don't remember where Locke found that.
That was
the one on Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, with Cape
So,
on Trina or
Cape
on
on
Helma.
Okay.
Wow, what a turnaround.
This is interesting. I mean, I guess Locke could pair that with hammer pegs, but that's one of those locations that, like, when's he gonna go back to? Like, I could see him going to ice before that pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a tough call when you have, you know, untouched pendant dungeons versus annoying
a couple of
one-offs.
arbitrary checks, right?
Now,
the only thing that makes the hammer pegs and purple chest area more appealing for Locke, I think, is having the back of thieves available as well. Like, it's just something else to do in the area. It increases the density a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, if I have those checks, hammer pegs and purple chests, like, I would be more inclined to just go ahead and finish Thieves Town before doing those. Which is why I don't see Locke doing any of that stuff. And yeah, Locke is still down a sword as well, but is going to go ahead and do Mimic Cave into probably finish out the rest of TR, so gonna get at least that Master Sword.
Mm-hmm. Do we happen to recall how many items were in the first 4 of Thieves?
It was a Moon Pearl, a Heart Container, so at least 2. I don't remember what the other 2 were.
Which means probably 2 or 3 in the back then. That's... I don't know, that's comparable to ice at this point. It's not bad, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, and the silvers that were here.
Hmm. Ooh, getting 2 short hops right away, so missing a couple fire rod shots.
I could also see Tso missing on those silvers that are in Mire. Because, I mean, you grab hammer, you're good to go, you get out of there. Now, here's the thing, DT. GT Big Key could be right side in Ganon's tower.
There is that chance. Because I think at this point, if you're Tso, you plan on a Samaria-less seed.
Yep. And especially
go.
with it being left side swamp, like, that's just not happening. Alright, we're going into Mire? Oh yeah. At least checking Mire's shed. How much do silvers tend to save GT versus Ganon? I mean, it'll definitely play a part if you're down on swords. Like, silvers is huge for Locke, because he's probably going to finish the seed with only Master Sword. Depending on where he goes next. Yeah, like, it definitely plays more of a part if it's like one player has Tempered Sword versus one player has Master Sword silvers. And especially if like both players have Tempered Sword but only one of them has silvers.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. I do not think that Tso is going to get Hammer and Bale, and here's why. Eastern Big Key. If it was just items, then yes.
Oh, yeah. True. That's a good point.
This is... I mean, it's another reason to be glad, I guess, to not have Samaria, which is hammer locked anyway. But, yeah, this will be a front full clear of Mire on the left side of your screens.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that yet. And then the question is, does Tso immediately go do pod next? Or will we still see a full swamp clear? It's crazy because this race, Tso was just incredibly far behind just because of missing out on... Or just because of Locke picking up all those really good items in the Desert Mire area so early. Giving him so many more options. But, you know, finding that Desert Big, hovering to Trinex, has definitely put him back in this race. And right now, like, the only thing Locke could end up still finding would be the 4th sword. Like, that's pretty much about it. Maybe Red Mail, but whatever.
And it's interesting to think about where does Tso go next after this. Because, yeah, Swamp is a full clear, so statistically you're more likely to find what you need there. But at the same time... Well, you gotta think, where are you gonna get to faster? I guess it doesn't really matter at this point when you're gonna have, like, full Dark World, or Light World access.
Yeah.
But... I would almost be more inclined to go to Pod, because in case what you need is there, then you can just go mode Swamp, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're hoping to find the Eastern Big Key first, so that you can, I don't know, you can make a single trip back to that area instead of having to go to Pod and then leave and then come back. But we know that's going to have to happen anyway. Oh yeah, Locke does not have the Big Key for Hera, so he's not going to be able to open that big chest at all.
Well, as far as we know, that's going to work out. Because we know that the small key couldn't be here, Moldorm, so the small key is either locked in the basement or is in that big chest. Whoop! Psych! Yeah, unfortunate for Tso, routing straight to cutscene. So, I mean, it was an avoidable check for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds up time.
So I think for where we're at right now, Locke still has the advantage, but every check that he makes that is not the Desert Big Key is probably going to... And it sounds obvious, right? Like, hey, if you don't find your items, I've got a better chance of getting back into this. But I think from where Tso is sitting right now, that the longer Locke goes especially, the better odds he's got of hopping back into this. The gap is definitely closed.
And it's also a 5 crystal to 3 advantage right now, and you know, if Tso goes and does Swamp next, you know, that's a long dungeon to full clear as well.
That is a 6 for Locke, actually. He's cleared Swamp.
Oh yeah.
tracker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's even a bigger difference for Locke. So let's see where he goes next.
It is. Yeah, it's just that Desert Big is in just one of those weird spots. It's like, when is Locke actually going to go back for that?
Honestly, I feel like if he already activated his flute, he might go back there like sooner. But now I'd assume this is going to be Pyramid Fairy into a full Hyrule Castle front clear.
And we do have it looks like a full swamp clear incoming for Tso.
So race is certainly not over, but it is interesting. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see if Tso decides to skip left side swamp and miss out on that Samaria. I think the thing about Purple Chest is the fact that Locke has the Thieves Town Big. You know Locke doesn't want to go there. So,
although I think it's better than having to go back just for like the Thieves' Big chest.
True.
Like, there's actually some you can make a very strong case for going to it. But I mean, at the same time, Ice Palace is 3 items normally, 4 with Big Key Shuffle and 5 with Green Pendant. So that's easily Locke's most dense single location right now.
I feel like most players would head to the next untouched pendant dungeon instead of going back to a previous dungeon. Like, you know, Locke's never going to go back to Vidi.
No,
never. That would be
never.
the last pendant he would do, for sure. But it's crazy, because at the same time, like, if Tso skips out on left side swamp, misses Samaria, and we have a big key on right side, like, this race could easily, like, swing back to the left.
It's turned into a real interesting one, and there's enough variables left in it that it's going to remain interesting until somebody finally hits go mode.
It's gonna be funny for Locke too, because he's gonna find the hair.
Oh, the hair big is there.
He's gonna be like, ah, man, he's not going back for that. No way.
He's gonna go back for that before he goes to Vidi, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Depends on what mood Locke's in today. Oh, yeah, and if you're Tso, you're really hoping that big key is the one for Eastern.
Though now he knows. He knows exactly that where it is. He just needs to find the cape.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That's the good thing about the visible item locations. You know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you'd rather it just be that one. But now you know. So there's nothing left to think about. But
it's such a bad feeling, like when you need one of 2 big keys and you open the chest like that and you find the wrong one, because you don't get the text right away. You just see big key, you're like, yes, and then it's like,
you're like, ah. The worst for me and anyone else that uses auto tracking is that the auto tracking will usually pop up before the text box pops up. So I try not like
no, I don't look at it.
Yeah, same. I try and disregard my peripheral so I get the text box info. But I can kind of barely see it. I'm like, ah.
And I'm like, maybe auto tracking's wrong. Maybe that's not the right key. I don't know. And then I see the text. I'm like, damn it.
Well, Tso's gonna have a much quicker Argus fight here as well. I'm gonna get that flute, which is whatever. Nice. Zero cycle. That was beautiful.
I have done that once, and I have no idea how I did it.
Never done it. So definitely showing off to look, skill-wise, definitely a invitational player for sure. I feel like I mean, when I saw this group, I was like, Boing Boing Boingers are gonna be like definitely in contention for the top spot.
I mean, well, when you have a 126 NMG time, execution's not really a question.
Right. Locke never... I thought Locke did the back of escape.
I thought so too. No,
I
he
think he
definitely
did.
What does he do?
Oh,
he
maybe he... Oh, he wants to...
through?
Yeah, he just wants to go through to get out so he can go...
Maybe King's Tomb. I don't think he's done that.
Yeah, he wants to do the boot spots for sure.
You know what? At this point, it's probably faster to just run through the dungeon. I don't... well, I don't know. I can't say I've ever timed it.
Speaking of timing, that timing to get the bomb dupe was nice.
That was
Like he
really
literally
nice.
dropped it like inside of the house, like inside the doorframe.
Oh, and I mean, it goes without saying at this point that Tso did not go back in for left side.
Nope. So if
No
Big
Canis Maya.
Key is on the right side, then I.
Now that we're in the Dark World, is this a play right over to Pod to get the cape and then immediately go get that Eastern Big?
I would assume so.
Gap is closing, although Locke is heading back over to Kakariko and could be heading to Thieves or, well, I guess after Bonk Rocks, we'll see which direction he goes.
Yeah.
He's in the vicinity. He's about as close as he'll get.
So anyone just showing up, our runners both looking for big keys. Locke's big key desert is in the purple chest, while Tso's big key for Eastern is on Bumper Ledge with Cape on Helma. And this might be a flute to ice. Ice. All right.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be the 5 minutes or so that Tso needs. Accidentally entering Eastern, but he's going to get that cape before Locke is out of ice.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly this is a very, very interesting race. I'm excited to see what happens from here.
Yeah.
It was getting that other bow and then hovering to Trinex was absolutely game-changing. At the moment, it wasn't an immediate shift in lead, but the gap has been closing ever since then.
Yeah, the big thing here is, when does Locke get back to purple chest? Tso is basically heading in the right direction. Gonna get Cape, gonna go get Eastern, come back here, beat that. And then just has to do a quick Harapot. But the real thing for Tso is, if the GT Big Key is on the Samaria Locke side, that's rough. Like, you're not coming back from that.
The last big variable at this point, and we'll see what happens.
Because, I mean, for Locke right now, he might, after this, he'll go turning Green Pendant. And then it's just a matter of, does he go into Thieves Town before doing Purple Chest, Hammer Pegs?
I think so. I think absolutely. Because if you do Hammer Pegs and then Purple Chest, you're leaving the area just to come back for Thieves, right? Might as well just do Thieves and then make a screen transition to do the other two.
So yeah, I mean, this is definitely starting to favor Tso, which is crazy just because of how Locke was in a lead for so long, just because of that early desert play into the Mire play to find Fire Rod, Mirror, Hammer, Bow. But yeah, that Trinex hover changed everything. It really did.
Yeah, it would be a different story if Mire was a crystal as well.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. You gotta...
Change
the question is, and we'll find out very, very soon after this fight is over, is does Tso remember where... Or that there was a big key on Bumper Ledge? In the heat of a race, the tension of it, you may be feeling behind, who knows? It's... Unless you're taking like good notes or you have good mental notes, it can be easy to forget things like that the later you go in.
Yeah. I gotta imagine you got that. You wrote that down somewhere. If not on on a notepad doc or pencil paper, at least in like the back of your smooth brain. Locke picking up Tempered Sword, so
Locke, so sword
good.
advantage is gone. Did Tso not activate? No, hasn't yet. Definitely not. Went right from Swamp basically over to Pod, so that's why we save and quit. So how does this finally shape out? At least for GT entry, Hera is going to be a very quick dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
quick stop to activate the flute. I think this is fine. All in all, just speed up the travel, no more save and quit.
All right, that's green pendant for Locke. We'll probably go see that turned in right away, and then, which is really convenient having that portal right there. Yeah, this could still balance out. Like at least runners getting to GT roughly around the same time if Locke heads to Pyramid Fairy next.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearing Back of Thieves is a bit of a length.
It is at this point.
Also, is this going to be our 4th sword? Don't be a... Oh, okay. Would have been worse is if it was like mushroom. If it was powder, it might have been more helpful, but...
So, I know that it seems like we can call go mode right now, but just another quick reminder, we can't for sure without knowing where that GT big is. If it's right side, Cane of Samaria suddenly becomes a very important item. Well, look at what Locke's doing right now, though.
Oh, wow. Unless
this is... I actually cannot peg who's in the lead right now.
What I'm curious about is why Tso is going up the mountain first. Oh, because GT is at Castle Tower.
Yeah, right. GT's not there.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know you didn't play this week, so you
I didn't play this week. Rusty. This mode stinks. If I play this mode, it's either because I didn't choose to because of inverted, or because of mystery, or it's like inverted cross keys. Yeah, I think if Locke hadn't done Ice Palace already for nothing, I could have seen him do Thieves Town first into the Pyramid Fairy play, or Purple Chest play, but last thing you want to do is go from one pendant dungeon to the next and leave these outstanding checks. But yeah, this is definitely back in Locke's favor.
Mm-hmm. Not by much, though, because Eastern... I mean, we're going to get through Hera pretty quickly, and then Eastern is just go beat the boss, but Locke definitely has, I would say, at least a solid minute and a half, 2 minutes at this point.
Yep. And I mean, that's the thing is, Locke had such a tremendous lead early on because the early route into the desert area, finding Fire God, checking desert, finding Mir on the right side, and then immediately mirroring into the Mire area, and dipping Mire for both a hammer and a bow, which allowed him to just start clearing dungeons. It was, I think it was around the 53-minute mark when Tso finally cleared their first dungeon. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was Skull Woods. Which,
Yeah. Yep. And then from there it was right up to... Was Turtle Rock his second? I think it was, actually.
Yeah, I think so as well. So had quite a hill to climb to make this as close as it is. And, Locke... In order to make this even closer, Locke needed to, do that, as you said, do that Thieves Town first. Mm-hmm. Into,
That might have been enough to shift it on its own, too.
Mm-hmm.
This is... this has been such a wild last half hour. It really has.
Of course, you never want seeds... races that are super one-sided are kind of, a bit of a snoozer to watch. Which, no fault to the runners. Sometimes rando sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was... I was glad to see a little change of pace with that, the Trinex hover into the immediate desert big key find, and then just sitting back and watch and seeing what was going to happen next. I'm still wondering where the GT big key is going to be.
Yeah, me too. I will say, though, and without exaggeration, in the, 5.5 years now that I've been watching, commentating, racing in these tournaments and whatnot, this is one of the most unique comebacks that I've seen. One of the most unique set of circumstances that's allowed the race to wind up being as close as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, you always have your standard, both runners going to GT, and they need, the sword go mode seeds can also be, oh man. Actually, yeah, that reminds me of last season. There was I think it was the final week, or second to last week, or something like that, and it was just a wild sword hunt between Relkin and Tam that you had no idea who was going to win it. It was nuts. And then I think it ended up finishing like maybe 30 seconds apart at the end. But what you love to see these crazy comeback races or keeping it close. So. But Locke at this point is certainly in the lead heading into GT with Tso not too far behind, just a couple rooms and an almost kill. But this race could already be over anyway if that GT Big Key is on right side. Yeah, this is like the one time you wish it was an Aga Seed so you could just save and quit to the top of the castle. Because getting there otherwise is such a slog.
Very interesting. It's not a fun route. So, just going by Tso's timer, since they're both just slightly out of sync, it was a 128.40 for Locke on Sword Up for Crystal number 7. We're right about a... I actually, no meme intended, right about a 69-second difference right now.
Nice. There, I synced him up as best I could. Oh.
But, I think this is a little bit faster of a journey to the tower for Tso, just based on where that last crystal was. So that alone might close up a little bit of that gap.
So yeah, I mean, if Big Key is not on the right side, which, you know, I always jokingly say it's never right side. This is gonna probably...
I sincerely hope it's not in this case. I want to see a good climb from both runners and a good finish at the end of this.
You know, you love to see races come down to just execution. In my opinion.
Cat making a really good point here, though, that if Big Key is not right side with Locke doing it first, where are you going, Tso? Getting a little bit turned around, but that's okay. Yeah, if Big Key is not right side, then this is going to be a much closer race, effectively entering GT at the same time.
Half magic, we'll $20, $50, $50.
It's not over here.
It's not over there.
It's not over here. We are effectively kind of tied right now. Locke's going to have a couple of seconds advantage after this this Hope Room check.
We've got a race.
This is what it comes down to. I can't believe this.
There's the last
the tile room would be the only other spot.
Looks like I don't need that. I mean, as long as you don't miss your 1-in-1, you don't need it.
Yeah, it effectively doesn't make Ganon any faster.
And, you know, you're not really going to be using Gold Sword strats on Lamels unless you go for, like, the cheeky stall tactic into spins. There it is. All right. Just
with
like
the
that.
Canis Maria that we don't have.
Well, you can do it without Canis Maria as well. But it's very...
Can you?
It's even more RNG dependent, yeah.
Alright, so a race of execution now. Locke with maybe 10 seconds on Tso with the start of the climb.
Who has the better GT climb? It's hard to not favor the NMG runner, but this is an NMG, and we have good loadouts, and Locke has half magic, and we have a mirror shield, which I just figured I'd call that one out. You know, you never have that in NMG or half magic.
Some face beams or something.
Oh yeah, there is some really cool like bow strats you can do on the wizard room. So we'll see if Tso has that down. Otherwise, you know, those are two rooms that are going to slow down a little bit without Samaria.
That's true. Locke only just now getting out of Gauntlet 1 as Tso is entering.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Locke still has a green potion, but I think that's it. I don't know what Tso has. But I mean, we have so many hearts and armor and weapons, like, as long as you don't take too much damage on the climb, we'll be fine. Yes, Rambler, Tso actually hovered 2 Trinex, and it was on second attempt. It was nuts. First attempt made about halfway, I'd say. Well, Locke missing the 1 cycle, and Tso's not too far behind. We're in the same room. Gets the second attempt. Locke.
It's the one cycle, so this is this is a door opening away.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and you see there, So was trying to switch to Samaria, doesn't have it, so gonna have to get creative.
Have it, right. Fire Rod works. It shoots fast and kills them instantly. There's no burning. Picking up a couple of arrows there, not bad. There's a pot up in the pre-Moldorm 2 room that does have 5. We definitely don't need 17 at this point.
Oh no.
This Wizard room is not a fun one without Samaria. I haven't really figured out a great way to get through it. Gonna 3-cycle this room,
so much time, yeah.
Creeping a little bit further ahead.
I was expecting So to at least switch off of the silvers and try doing that. But, you know, if it's something you're not used to, then... And especially in the heat of the moment. Like, this is a crazy race. But they don't know that. Well, they do, because it's a 10-minute delay. But at the moment this was happening, they didn't know. See, for me, I've been, especially in these kind of clutch moments, I've been switching to Cape for Moldorm too, just because I don't want to take any chances of Moldorm getting cheeky, knocking you down. But Locke takes him out, no trouble at all. So not far behind.
I will say, that used to be a thing to not really do, just because of the menuing and all that other stuff, but Quickswap has made certain safety strats like that not even a waste of time. Like, you can do them literally for free at this point.
Oh.
We're just gonna go for the hover there, make up a couple more
goodness.
seconds, nice. Hovering has been on point today on the left side of your screens.
Yeah, we saw what? Paradox Cave hover, we saw the right side pod hover, that one took a few attempts. Locke missing more than just one hit here. Then yeah, the Trinus one, that one right there.
I think my favorite part of that Paradox hover, even though it's a smaller one, was that there was no hesitation, no lineup, just literally walked over and went.
Oh yeah, and the Ice Palace bomb jump room hover. Right, Locke hits a triple to finish it out. So yeah, Locke needs to make sure he gets that 1-1. Otherwise, skipping that gold sword might end up backfiring on him.
That was 36-16, I think that Locke's screen faded to black. So there's a buffer for Locke right now. It's about 14 seconds.
It's not 13, much,
14, but it's not much.
Let's see this 1-1. Looking good. Oh no. He's not gonna get it.
No, he's not.
He stepped too far away to avoid the... Oh, and that's a really bad spot for that. I mean, he does have
half magic, and like he'll get the 1 cycle on phase 2 here, so
it's gonna make up a little bit of time here. That half magic really coming in clutch, because you know you don't really have time to drink a potion right now either.
No, definitely not. Oh, how's this going to finish up, Willard?
I don't know. This is crazy.
This is such a great race.
Oh,
I would not have thought so an hour ago. I'm so glad that I was wrong and that this wound up being literally down to phase 4 on the Ganon fight. Both runners have silvers. It should theoretically go quick all around. We'll see. Maybe you can get some cheeky torch things going, sneak a double in there somewhere.
Only getting a single here. Oh gosh. Oh
Locke
gosh.
having a little bit of trouble with the torches.
But it looks like he's gonna do it.
Locke has Ganon down.
Man, it looked like both runners had trouble with this phase 4. Couldn't get any doubles or triples, so... Wow.
What an amazing race.
What a crazy
what an outstanding race. Locke alive, crossing that bridge, finishing in first place with a 138.06. And So finishing right behind with a 138.13. We have a 7-second difference.
That's
holy cow. You
nuts.
don't see too many of these. That was incredible.
Oh my gosh. GG's about these runners. Holy cow. Let's get him in for a little chat. I love it. I gotta hold on. I gotta do the thing. Apple Triforce there. Yeah. Give it up for these runners, chat.